On Capitol Hill, the search for answers to the unexplained.
Yeah, a series of unidentified aerial phenomena spotted by military pilots, or what most of us might call UFOs. So Congress is holding a public hearing on them right now, and ABC's Martha Raddatz has all the details.
Whoa, it's getting close.
It was the videos that were impossible to ignore, and so were the witnesses. Released by the military in 2020, you hear stunned Navy pilots off California's coast in 2015 wondering out loud what the heck they were seeing in the skies. Former Navy pilot Ryan Graves telling GMA the encounters with these physics-defying objects became almost routine.
We were seeing them nearly every day that we were flying. We were going out there to do our normal training missions, so we weren't necessarily going out there to track these objects.
According to a U.S. official, defense officials plan to play videos like these to demonstrate how investigators try to determine and explain what is going on. More than 140 encounters reported by military personnel.
Oh my gosh. We're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west.
The government report released last year finding a definitive explanation for only one of the encounters, but ruling out that any of the objects were part of any secret government technology or classified black program. So what might they be? A few possible explanations. Counterintelligence devices by potential adversaries, or something created by the military's own highly sensitive sensor equipment.
These unidentified aerial vehicles basically can do things that no earthbound vehicle can do. We don't know how to do them. And it's really the appropriate thing that the Navy basically said, yep, these pictures are real. They were pinging our radars, but we don't know what they are.
The words alien or extraterrestrial were not found anywhere in the government report, but they were not ruled out either. The Pentagon says today's hearings, while it may not find new answers, will help with how these reports are handled.
It's about organizing around the effort so that there's a common collection process for how these reports get brought into the system, how they get analyzed, how they get investigated, and then how they get adjudicated.
It was moments like these, challenging the limits of physics, that raised potential security risks that were too big to ignore.
Oh my gosh. We're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west.
The military releasing this 2015 video 2 years ago showing naval pilots off the coast of California completely stunned.
Look at that thing.
We were seeing them nearly every day that we were flying.
Today, for the first time since the 1960s, members of the House Intelligence Subcommittee and top Pentagon officials discussing the topic of UFOs, now referred to as UAPs, or unidentified aerial phenomenon.
We are committed to a focused effort to determine their origins.
In 2004, the Pentagon acknowledged tracking more than 140 reports of UAPs. But today, Deputy Director for Naval Intelligence Scott Bray says efforts to encourage pilots to report mysterious encounters has swelled the number they're investigating to approximately 400. Last year, a government report found a definitive explanation for only one of the encounters. Bray says one video was a distortion stemming from light passing through night vision goggles. As for a second video showing a shiny spherical object,
I do not have an explanation for what this specific object is.
Bray confirmed that the military has never fired missiles at a UFO or recovered any non-terrestrial wreckage. Still, the Pentagon says it's determined to remove the stigma associated with reporting sightings.
The inability to understand objects in our sensitive operating areas is tantamount to an intelligence failure.
Unidentified aerial phenomena are a potential national security threat.
Now, Navy and Air Force crews have step-by-step procedures for reporting on UAPs right in their cockpit. Ike Ajachi, ABC News, Washington.
There's a thing.
In the first hearing of its kind in 50 years, defense officials confirmed sightings of unidentified flying objects, or as the military calls them, UAPs. But
we have detected no emanations within the UAP task force that would suggest it's anything non-terrestrial.
Officials said there have been no collisions between U.S. aircraft and the objects, but there have been 11 near misses.
And have we attempted to communicate with those objects?
No.
We don't even put out a alert saying, identify yourself.
Some of the objects, like the triangles in this video, were later classified as drones. But defense officials said there are sightings they still can't explain. The Defense Department says it is taking reports seriously and that it continues to expand its office that's gathering and analyzing reports of UFOs.
This is not about finding alien spacecraft, but about delivering dominant intelligence.
Some lawmakers said the sightings could be evidence of secret U.S. or foreign technology. But California Congressman Adam Schiff was unsure.
There is something there, measurable by multiple instruments, and yet it seems to move in directions that are inconsistent with what we know of physics or science.
We're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west.
After the public hearing, a classified version of the hearing on UFOs continued behind closed doors. In Washington, Alexandra Limon.
Now for something different, Congress wants to know what is out there. Lawmakers were talking about UFOs today. Their concern, national security. You're looking at video lawmakers watched today of UFOs, or what are also known as unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs. Indiana Representative Andre Carson called the hearing.
This hearing and oversight work has a simple idea at its core. Unidentified aerial phenomena are a potential national security threat, and they need to be treated that way.
Top Pentagon officials said there are now around 400 reports from military personnel of possible encounters with UFOs.
UAP reports have been around for decades, and yet we haven't had an orderly way for them to be reported without stigma and to be investigated. That needs to change.
For many lawmakers, the concern is not alien life visiting Earth, but rather foreign countries using their next-generation technology in our airspace. As for those flying triangles, officials say they're reasonably confident they were drones.
We want to know what's out there as much as you want to know what's out there. We get the questions not just from you, we get it from family members. And we get them night and day, not just in committee hearings.
This hearing had an open session followed by a closed one as lawmakers and the rest of us look for answers for the unexplained.